All right. Looks like the attendee count has kind of settled out a little bit, so let's get started. To let you all know, my name is Phil Sharon. I'm the Vice President of Product here. I live in Philadelphia, and in previous lives, I worked in product design specifically, in a lot of B2B SaaS products. But that's me, and I'm going to go through the first portion of the presentation here, and Lorenzo and Mackenzie are going to handle the second half of it. So, hand it over to Mackenzie to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, I'm Mackenzie Borman. Like I mentioned, I'm living in Phoenix, Arizona. I'm one of the product managers here at Documo. I like to call myself a solutions detective. I'm always curious and interested about what people are using our product for and sort of the vision that they have for Documo as well. Um, and yeah, very excited to help guide you through this webinar. Lorenzo's going to kick off a really great demo of what we've been working on for the past year. And I'm kind of here to help answer some questions as they come through the chat. So feel free to, post your questions there. I'll either take time to pause and answer them or kind of hold them toward the end if we have a Q&A session, if they think they are good for the whole group to kind of hear the responses on that. So yeah, Lorenzo.
Thanks, Mackenzie. Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Lorenzo Del Valle. I am the solutions consultant here at Documo. Spend a lot of time working with our sales team, our product team, pretty much everybody in the company, to be completely honest. But yeah, here to help give a demo for you guys today on the IDP product. And yeah, I'm a big problem solver. Love helping customers get deliverable results out of what they're looking for in solutions. And so that's mostly what my day-to-day consists of. So yeah, looking forward to the demo. And Phil, I'll toss it back to you.
Awesome. And so I think the first question, I forgot we're getting to poll questions really quickly. Rachel's going to execute a poll here. If you don't get it up on your screen, then there's a poll button somewhere on your control panel. But we're really curious about the types of forms that your organization receives. Um, so if folks don't mind taking a second to hit that poll there and start responding. You've got options of faxes, paper-based forms, web-based forms, handwritten notes. Are they coming in through email messages? Are they coming in through just generic electronic documents? Are you receiving messages from other EHRs? Do you use direct secure messaging? Maybe you're using text messages, if there's anything other in that form. I'm going to move forward a little bit while this poll is active, and when we start seeing the numbers stop changing, then Rachel will close that out, and we'll look at those numbers. But really, our mission here is to help our customers spend more time with their patients and not with paperwork. And either our customers or the end users of the platforms that use our integration tools. And what we know and understand about this is that managing patient data and documentation in this world of HIPAA rules and regulation is really burdening healthcare teams. I think Rachel chose to close out the poll, so it looked like we stopped. Um, so I don't know if you can see the poll results that I'm sharing, or if you can see it in your screen, but it looks like 95% of you have indicated that faxes are a big part of the documents that you send and receive. Paper-based forms are up there at 26%, but you go back down. This is always the surprising one for us is email messages. So healthcare organizations are still using email, even though there's all kinds of regulatory concerns around that. Um, you're processing electronic documents in some way, shape, or form. We've got direct secure messages and text in there. So that's really helpful information for us. If you have questions about those, please feel free to throw them into the chat. But as I was saying, managing patient data and documentation in this world of HIPAA regulations is really burdening healthcare teams. I mentioned the example of emails. So you get an email with patient data and it's already been sent to you in an unsecure way. And what do you do with that document? You know. Meanwhile, missing or delaying this data obviously negatively affects patient outcomes, and that puts stress on folks who are already overburdened and have to sift through legacy manual document workflows. And this hits organizations large and small. We talk to a lot of customers, a lot of end users out there, a lot of healthcare organizations. And in a small practice, that means that medical assistants, your physician's assistants, or your nurse practitioners, or your nurses, or your front of the office staff are handling document workflows when they really should be dealing with patients, all the way up to physicians who are dealing with this. And then you look at very large healthcare systems, and I make this joke because a customer said this to us one time. We have a basement full of people who just sit there and process documents. We've talked to organizations that have hundreds of people whose sole responsibility is processing the documents that come in. So we're trying to address that question. And in that vein, let's talk about automation. So this is our next poll. Promise you're not going to be inundated with polls. We only have 3 of them. But we're just curious about, um, how are you automating now if you are? And let us know. Like, are you automating with internal tools that you've built yourself? Are you using external workflow tools? There's tools out there like Karagon, or we were just talking about Zapier for something that we were trying to figure out here at Documo. Maybe you want to automate, or maybe you don't think you need automation at all. So we're just curious about how you're handling the automation of that stuff rather than having folks, you know, highly trained uh, people going through and processing documents for you. So our vision in this world, it looks like we've got everyone answering the poll, but let me hit this. We imagine a world where unstructured data becomes as seamless as structured data. I've explained this to people saying we're sending pictures of documents around, and Documo's job, really, what we see our responsibilities are, is to turn those pictures of documents back into documents and then add workflow to help people address that. So let's look at the results of the poll. About 63% of you have built your own internal tools that help you automate. 31% of you are using external workflow tools. And 31% of you don't automate anything now, but you wish you could. And that's great because when we get to talk about the roadmap, we'll see that automation is sort of the next step of what we're building. So how we we've sort of taken this information and we've built a framework in our platform around 3 different layers. The first layer is just this need to transmit. Documents are coming in from everywhere. Healthcare communications are complex, and there needs to be some sort of transmission agnostic inbox, if you will, to sort and process information. And Lorenz is going to show you what that looks like in the Documo portal in a little bit. But again, for integrators, all of the features that we're demonstrating are actually, almost all of them are available through our endpoint. So you can build your own tools around these features as well. And then folks, once documents are transmitted, they need to perform actions on them. So they need to transition these unstructured documents into something that's structured and then drive performance within your organization around that. So this is where things like automation and intelligent document processing come from. And then you need to connect. You need to connect your platform to other platforms to really make the flow of these documents and communications as efficient as possible. And so our way of addressing this is in the transmit world where we want to be agnostic to what the transmission channels are and make sure that the message volume is being handled efficiently. So no organization wants 15 different inboxes that the same group of people need to manage. And so how do we put that into one unified inbox, whether it's in Documo or whether it's in your platform? You need to perform actions on those documents around intelligent document processing and workflow automation, as we talked about before. And then you need to open up secure and compliant connections between really these documents or the systems that process these documents and any other systems of record in healthcare. And so what we're going to demo in a little bit is what we call intelligent document processing. And if you think about this as, currently we have unstructured documents that are flowing around. Currently, Documo can handle this through either fax or uploading documents into the system. And then on the AI side, we're running OCR on them to extract the full text out of it. We use that full text to actually classify the documents, run them through a machine learning model that classifies them, whether it's our standard model or your custom model. We'll talk about that. Then we extract key data out of it. In this case, we extract patient information from it and then match it to the EHR. And so I think the last question, if you want to pull it up, thank you, Rachel, is where is your organization actively investing now in improving either the document processing of your organization or of your customers' organizations if you're working in a platform of your own? So while we watch the results of that come in, we'll talk about some considerations of intelligent document processing within your organization, especially for integrators. So we have conversations all the time. Mackenzie and I think yesterday we even had 2 conversations with new pilot customers. There'll be more today. There's more going on over the next couple of weeks. And so why, we often ask them, hey, if you have your own engineering team, why are you investing in Documo as opposed to building this yourself? And in those considerations, some reasons that we get from them is that it takes, months, if not years, to build out this functionality ourselves. And we have our own core competency that our platform represents. And so document processing is really not a part of that in any HR or other context. And so we'd rather buy this than build it. We trust Documo, so we are a cloud fax. We started as a cloud fax platform. We have state of the art, probably some of the best APIs and API documentation in our platform. And so we're carrying that through into our API first strategy. As an API first customer, we're carrying that into all of our document processing functionality as well. We are one of the few cloud fax organizations out there that HIPAA is just, we will sign your BAAs. HIPAA compliance is part of our platform as opposed to a chargeable add-on that you will see with a lot of these sort of bottom of the market fax platforms. That's just, we believe that's table stakes. And then we own the infrastructure. So you don't need to scale the infrastructure up as your communication needs for your platform grow. We do that. And that's really, a strong reason to go out and partner with an API first organization. So let's look at these poll results. A lot of organizations are investing in workflow automation, 71% of them. 29% are looking into classification, 24% are looking into extraction. We'll demo that in a little bit. And then 24% of you are looking into direct interoperability with other healthcare systems. And 12% of you aren't looking into any of this at all, which is understandable as well. Like you've got a lot of work to do yourselves, just keeping your platforms running as they do, or keeping your teams running as they do. So that's sort of the framework and the background of Documo and where we are, how we got to this point that we're in. I am now going to hand the reins over to Lorraine. Oh, are there any questions in the chat that we should be bringing up?
I don't see any questions just yet. I'm sure there will be some that come through as Lorenzo walks through the demo. So feel free to add those in the chat as we get through this. And just to kind of set it up, Lorenzo's going to walk you through kind of the in-app experience with our portal UI, and then also at the tail end of it, kind of walk through our API documentation. So don't worry, we're not forgetting about showing you the API portion of it. Just wanted to make note of that.
Thank you, Mackenzie. Okay, I'm going to stop the share, and yes, definitely during the demo, I'm sure you're going to have questions about the platform and how it works. So please feel free to throw those questions in the chat. But now I'm going to hand it over to Lorenzo.
Cool. Thanks, Phil. Yeah, so thanks everyone for your time. Hopefully, the information that Phil helped provide was kind of helpful on kind of getting us to where we are today on what we have as a deliverable product here. So what I'm going to start with showing everyone today is what starts in workspaces. And workspaces is kind of the root of where documents can be stored, shared, data can be extracted, all of that good stuff kind of happens in this space, and where you'll have the ability to set up different workspaces based on where you want certain document types to end up, or where you want certain data sources to have documents pulled into. So it's a very modular enhancement to the existing product to be able to pull things in and kind of handle that that way. But this is kind of where we'll start. So I'll walk through the process of setting everything up, and then following setting that up, we'll get into talking through the API documentation as Mackenzie had mentioned. So in workspaces starts with creating a new workspace, right? Where do we want to get documents into? Where are we going to be able to pick up those pieces of data from? And so doing so is pretty straightforward. We can just give our workspace a name. You also have the ability to add members into the workspace. So this is mostly something that's specific to, the web portal based version of workspaces here. And that's giving people access to the documents that are going to end up in this workspace, right? So maybe this particular workspace I'm setting up is going to be something that needs to be accessible by 50 different people. Maybe it's just a handful. In this case, we'll just add Mackenzie on here. And also with the workspace, we have the ability to turn on whether or not we actually want OCR to be enabled for this workspace. So are we going to want things extracted from this particular document? As this exists today, you'll be able to get full text out of documents that come in here. And you also have the ability with that enabled to be able to get a PDF attachment of that extracted data. So maybe you have documents that end up in a workspace that are a bit more granular and not so text heavy, where it's important for you to just pull those layers of text out of a document and have that deliverable to you in a separate document. That's essentially what this gives you the option to do there. So in this case, we'll just set everything up and we'll get everything enabled for this workspace here. Once that's created, if you need to manage people that have access to the workspace, you can go back and do that later from the manage screen here, where you can add in additional members or remove people as necessary to this particular workspace. And you'll also have the ability to edit some of the other options for the workspace after it's been created as well. So from edit here, so you've got some additional options. We can still get to members from the top of the page. But on this first tab here for automation, we have those OCR settings. We also have the ability to set up whether or not extraction and classification are run automatically. So with these enabled, we'll be able to get data run automatically on the documents that end up getting delivered into this workspace. And without these enabled, essentially you have the ability to run those one-off for documents. So for this particular one, we'll just set these up automatically, since not having to do it manually is obviously easier in that particular case. And we can also set what the retention for documents that are stored in this workspace are. So with the way this is set up at a year here, basically post 1 year, documents will be removed from the workspace as necessary there. Last piece here is data sources, right? So how are you getting documents into this workspace? Where are those coming from? As the product exists today, you've basically got two different options here. One, as an extension of the fax product, is to be able to get things routed in here by fax number. So I can go ahead and add a fax number in here as a data source. And this essentially would give me the option to have faxes as they come into this particular fax number end up in a workspace. So the product today is designed in that each individual workspace has the ability to have as many numbers as you like, but an independent fax number can only exist in a particular workspace, and that's kind of to prevent overlap and duplication of work and how documents are routed and delivered into particular workspaces. The second piece, which I'll show you in just a minute when we get into the workspace, is going to be to manually upload documents. And part of what Mackenzie will talk through post this demo is kind of what some future plans are as far as enhancements to the product, where that will lead to, and in addition to potentially some additional data sources down the road for getting documents in here as well is something we're looking to explore as well. So now that my workspace is set up, we can jump in here. We can see, obviously, we've got nothing in here right now, right? Didn't have any faxes coming to that number immediately, but I do have the ability to upload files directly to this workspace, which is what I will do here. So in this case, I'm going to take a couple of documents that I have set up already with some good test data, and we will just upload and manually add these in here. You also have the option to sync to some other cloud storage services the same way that, those of you who use our fax product today know that already exists. So again, lots of different options to get things in here for what we have today, and something we're looking to expand more in the future as well, like I had mentioned. So with those documents added, we can kind of get a better picture of the fields that are available for these documents. So again, just to reiterate, when I set up this workspace, I had extraction and classification both enabled automatically. So these two documents will actually have that process run on them to basically pull out the patient information and the type that will get updated in this column here. So if I update the page here, we can see we've already got those document types added, and we also have the ability to see the date and the document name and the source in which that document came in here. So in the case that you have documents ending up landing in this workspace from fax, you would see the fax number where that had been delivered into this workspace from. Another helpful one is also pulling the status, right? So what have you done with this document? Part of what I'll talk through in a minute is the ability to connect additional mediums to workspaces, right? Including the ability to connect documents into different electronic healthcare record software. So a few of those we have set up here, and that's part of the process I'll show you in here today. Maybe you saw I've got a tab open up there for OpenEMR, which we'll use for demonstration to see how you can get a document there. But it's super helpful to understand when you have multiple people in a workspace, who has done what and when has that happened, right? So I'll open up this first document here. oops, we'll go into the kebab menu, sorry, over here. We can see that now that I've opened that one, the status has updated to say that I've opened it. But we'll go into this kebab menu here, which is really where you'll get all the actionable points for a document in Workspaces. So we can view it just like I did by clicking on the document. We can download it if we need to pull it out. We can pull up information here, which is probably the most helpful window as far as figuring out what has all been done in here. So we can see part of those automated processes and what's actually happened with the document. So we can see that an MRN has been assigned to this document. A date of birth has been assigned. We've pulled a first name and last name out of this document, and all those fields have been assigned to this one that's been in here. And we get timestamps with everything, obviously, as part of an audit trail and what's happened with the document. And you can also see when I had pulled up and opened that document about a minute later there. So lots of great information that you can pull out of here. This is all also information that would be accessible through the API as well. So if you're trying to pull anything on a document and want to get that delivered that way, you can do it as well, which I'll talk through more later. Back to the kebab menu here. So a couple other things I just wanted to highlight here. You also have the ability to move documents between workspaces. So let's say a document ends up in a workspace. Maybe it was a manual upload, maybe a document that had gotten sent to a fax number where really the types of documents you want to keep stored in this workspace are not applicable there, and you'd like to move that somewhere else. Basically, any other workspace that you'd have shared permissions to. So if you've been added onto a workspace or you own additional workspaces within the product space here, you'll have the ability to move those documents over as necessary there. Going to skip these processing options here and go down here just for a moment because we'll come back to that here. But the other big one here is being able to pull that OCR data. Like I said, you can have full text be able to be extracted from that particular document. So if I pull up this window here on the left side of the page, you'll see this is actually all of the extracted text that came from this particular document, and we can see that in parallel to the document here. Going back into the same menu here, again, if we chose not to have OCR run automatically on the workspace itself, which is something that I did choose to enable upon creating this workspace, we could have that run individually one-off if you need to pull data and have that delivered to you for a particular document. And for the API folks, this is something where you'll have the ability to have webhook events set up to have that data delivered to you. So instead of just sitting around waiting, knowing when it's going to pop up or having to use our UI or anything along those lines, you can rely on being able to receive that data efficiently as soon as that process is completed via webhooks as well, just like many of the other event data for our existing fax customers out there too. The last two here, running classification and extraction, just like we had set this up to be automatically, if you wanted to run it one-off for a particular document, should it not be hard enabled for a workspace, you can do that from here too. And the last piece, so being able to process these with different electronic healthcare record providers. So we've got 3 set up in here. Today, I'm just going to show you getting this into OpenEMR since it's a pretty straightforward process. But this all starts with opening our document processor window. And from here, you'll see we actually have some of this data populated automatically, and that's what was run from that extraction on the document. So we've actually pulled the first name, last name, and date of birth from this record. And we also have the record type pulled up. In this case, we can see it was an admission form, and the classification engine has automatically denoted this as an admission report. Now, a big thing with this is the ability to be able to correct things as well, right? We know that in a world of automation, everything is not exactly perfect. And there are some times where you might need to intervene or you might want to classify this as something different based on the information that's presented on a document, which is a part of kind of keeping a bit of a human in the loop in that process. And should you need to do so, you can always go in and adjust as needed here. So, important option to be able to have that as necessary there. Now, in this particular case, I'm actually going to remove this patient data. We're going to move this into a different patient in our test environment in OpenEMR here. But we have the ability to actually search for that patient directly here. So with that information that was populated automatically for this patient, we could search based on that. In this case, since I know they don't exist in there and I want to search under a different patient, I can actually enter what I need here, and we can search back into OpenEMR to find that patient there. So Steve Documo is who I was looking for here, and we're going to proceed with getting this document uploaded to Steve Documo's chart here. So we can choose next. We know that's the right patient. In OpenEMR, it's kind of set up to have different folder locations based underneath that patient. So in this particular case, I'll add the CCDA folder as the location in which I'd like to send this document, and we will hit send. In just a moment here, we will get There we go. A confirmation that that has been sent. And if I jump over here into OpenEMR to save us all a little bit of time, I've already got this Steve Documo pulled up as our patient in here. And I have the CCDA folder open. So we'll just go ahead and refresh the page here. Go back to our documents. And we'll see that we've got that new document that we just uploaded here. So same document that we were processing within the document processor window back in Workspaces, we now have created and moved over into our EHR here. So super nice extension of another thing that you have access to do within Workspaces there.
Hey, Lorenzo, we've got a couple of questions that came in that I thought we
Yeah,
could do before you
sure.
wrap to the next topic. Mackenzie, I think the first question probably you can handle better than I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. So the first question we have in is the OCR output going to be available in the fax streaming feature? So fax streaming is something that is newly developed by Documo. Essentially, it's as pages come in, we can deliver a page by page of the stream versus in traditional fax, you wait until the entire document is completed and then we deliver the fax, the rendered fax to you. So the question is, as those pages are being rendered, can we deliver the OCR output for each page? At this time, we have evaluated it. It's not available today in the sense of right now, OCR waits for the fax completed event. So once that full fax is completed versus page complete, but it is an absolutely possible scenario for us to figure out if OCR could start the process on the page complete event versus the document complete event. So I think that's something that we have thought about, we've considered for OCR. I think the two together are super powerful for a lot of our integrators to be able to get that page by page OCR read. So we definitely have that on that investigative list. So great point. And yeah, Phil, I'll let you bring up the next one. And I think maybe Lorenzo can help answer that one. If not, I can jump in too.
Cool. Yeah, the next question is how do we get pricing and access for our MFAX portal to do workspaces? So the person who asked this question is is a reseller customer of ours, and they want to do their own sort of branded workspaces functionality. So Mackenzie, Lorenzo, I don't know which one of you want to take that one on.
Yeah. To the person who had asked the question in the chat, I would direct you to your account manager in that particular case, who can help get you squared away with pricing information. And if you're not sure who that is, I can definitely reach out to them internally and have them reach out to you to set up a call to get some more information on it, kind of walk you through the product more in depth. Review the same demo that I'm giving today if necessary. But that's kind of the next steps in that process if it's something that you're looking forward to pursuing. So.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and as far as branding goes, any branding you've set up in order to resell the product, it does cover off workspaces as well. So the same portal that your customers may be logging into and seeing that custom branding that we do support, they would also see the same thing in workspaces. So it is built with the intention that our resellers could also utilize it. Um, we are currently working out some of those controls and structure of how certain customers could adopt it. So the sooner we hear from you, the better, and we can kind of, like Lorenzo said, understand your use case and how you'd like to offer that. We've got another one that came in. It says, do you know if Documo integrates with Office Practicum EMR, like the open EMR you demonstrated? I'll be going over some of the EMRs that we aren't currently integrated, but I can say offhand we are not currently integrated with Office Practicum, but we can take note of that. And we currently have an ongoing sort of survey and poll of which EHRs our customers are currently working with. And we're sort of trying to use our customers as a guiding light as to which ones have the most need. So it kind of goes off of um, how many customers can we satisfy at once since we are, early into our EHR integrations. Um, yeah, did I miss any or is there any more? I think that's all the
Nope,
questions we
I
have.
was just chatting back and forth with someone else, but there's no additional questions for the gang. So cool.
Great. I think you can segue into the API documentation, Lorenzo. I think that's where you were headed. So
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I missed a question.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Phil.
Yeah, someone was asking, are we integrating? I can answer this one. There now that of course other questions came in, so it scrolled away. Someone's looking to see if we integrate with Office Practicum, the EMR, like we just demonstrated with
oh,
OpenEMR.
I
So
answered that one.
Oh, you did. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I was busy talking to someone else. Okay.
Good,
Uh,
you're good.
and then someone named Jonathan just asked about med tech. Similar answer. Right now we have next gen, ModMed, OpenEMR, and point click care is coming soon. But we're continually looking into other EHRs, so we'd love to talk to you about that more.
Cool. I will segue us over on API documentation for now. So, again, for integrator folks, we know obviously this is kind of the bread and butter of what you'd want to do, especially, based on some of the poll results that we had gotten back from earlier on, a lot of you are using internal processes for, how you're building workflow automation and things along those lines. So being able to do this on your end and still rely on us as a service provider to do that is important, and not so much using the UI as we showed, but I think serves as a great purpose to show that. So for what we have available today, and this is something where any of you folks tuning in now have the ability to pull this up via next.docs.documo.com. This is our beta API documentation. So some of the things are still in flux here as they get moved over and merged to our primary API documentation. But there's two main sections that I kind of wanted to highlight within here. So the first one is under this OCR folder over on the left side of the screen here, if you see where my cursor is at. And you've kind of got two different endpoints that are available here. So one is to be able to pull OCR document data from any document that's in a workspace. And the other one is to be able to actually run it. So again, like I had showed back in workspaces, when you're setting that up, which you can also do down here through some API endpoints, and I'll get to that in a moment. When you're setting it up, you have the ability to choose whether or not OCR data is run for all the documents in there. And this is the same thing for classification and extraction as well. Do you want it to run on everything, or do you want to run this only on particular documents that come through there, and you're doing that automatically? And maybe something is kind of more of an advanced workflow that can be decided upon is the ability to have something like classification or extraction run automatically. And that is your determining point on whether or not you need to OCR a document and pull all of the data out of it. So some unique things that give our API customers the ability to kind of make those decisions based on data that they're receiving back on their own, which I think is very beneficial there. So yeah, pretty straightforward endpoints here. These give you the ability to do things related to OCR here for documents in a workspace. Now, more specifically on the actual workspace endpoints down here under the workspaces category, we kind of broken this down into three different things. So one is with the workspace itself, right? So there's endpoints for creating a workspace, adding users to a workspace, adding fax numbers as a data source, manually uploading documents, and then also being able to update some of those additional settings like OCR or deleting a workspace if necessary. So again, tying back to what I had showed previously in the demonstration there, everything that you'd have the ability to set up and do as far as managing the creation of a workspace and those settings that apply to it can be done through the API here too. Onto the documents themselves here. So when a document exists there, like what things can you do with that particular document? So we can pull that document info here. So being able to grab information like what's available in the metadata in our example here, being able to see all of that information there. And then also being able to move documents around the same way if it needs to go to a different workspace or if you need to delete a document, download a document, things along those lines. You also have the ability to run OCR through here as well. So if you need to run OCR on a particular document, again, this is just all tying back to those same actions that I had showed back in the UI for what you can do there. The last one here is being able to get and assign values to a document here. So if you're wanting to pull some of those key values like we had shown, first name, last name, date of birth, things along those lines, you can see in this example here kind of what the format of that data would look like in the response that you'd get back for querying this endpoint. Again, all of that information is available and can make further decisions on what you need to do for both an internal product or whatever you need to on gathering the same information that we can run and process for you in the physical product in the web portal there too. So yeah, pretty straightforward as far as what I wanted to tie it back to on the API stuff. But just wanted to kind of highlight that it's accessible in both places. And this ties back again to, as Phil had mentioned, what Documo's product philosophy is everything that we do, we build in the API too. So yeah, that kind of wraps up what I wanted for the demo. I'm going to pass it over to Mackenzie. She has some other data points on kind of where this product is headed to based on what we've shown today, what's accessible today, and want to give her the opportunity to talk through that. So,
Yep.
Awesome.
And Phil just dropped the API docs in the chat. Feel free to peruse those and drop any questions you may have. At this time, they are in a beta stage, so it's just, for us to say, hey, if there may be something that may change down the line, but we just want to make sure that they're accessible. You can read over them and ask questions. We're happy to answer anything you may have. Um, Going into like what's next. So Lorenzo showed you the demo of what our current product offering is. Every feature and functionality he walked through is available in live in production. So for our intelligent document processing offering, we've got the API endpoints for integrators. Those are public and live. You can peruse those at your own discretion. Workspace is live, OCR, classification extraction, as well as the human in the loop processor, which is geared more towards like our health tech customers, or sorry, our healthcare customers looking to actually process documents within the Documo UI versus integrate some of our core features and functionality. And part of that includes the flow of looking up patients and sending documents to EHRs. So speaking of our EHR integrations, like Phil had mentioned earlier, our current offerings are Emma, which is ModMed, OpenEMR, and NextGen Enterprise solutions. We have Point Click Care slotted to be going live in September. So we've worked really hard on that one in the past few weeks. And we're open to any and all requests around EHRs. Like I mentioned, our customers are really the ones that are going to push us further in certain directions with which EHRs we want to integrate with. But the main use case there is for folks that would like to process and use our tools within our portal. We've now given you the ability to, oh, Phil, I think the page went off. Yeah, there we go. We're now giving you the ability to stay in one location. So you can view the facts, you can process it, you can put it into a patient's chart all within the Documo UI without having to leave, download the document, upload it to the EHR, search the patient there, which allows for a lot faster processing of documents into patient charts. And that way, when you get through your processing, you can jump into your EHR and finish more of your downstream workflows like coordination and getting approvals and so on and so forth. That sort of leads us into what's coming soon. So I know the buzzwords of workflow and automation came up in the polls, and we're very interested in pursuing a lot of use cases around how Documo can make some new features and functionality around those downstream workflows. So the question we've really been asking ourselves is, once a document is identified with a certain class, or once a patient is identified in a document, what events and what activities happen after that? Like I mentioned, there's things that maybe happen inside the EHR, but there could be things that within the Documo environment need to happen. A great example would be, you have a referral that comes in based on the referral type, you may want to apply a specific Documo tag on it. That tag may be urgent so that your HIM team goes into our platform and can see all the documents with that tag urgent. Or as an integrator, you can request all documents that have that urgent tag. So it kind of gives you a little bit of ability to triage and have a little bit of automation into some of those day-to-day activities that your team's doing. There's a million and one use cases around automation. So we're really taking our time to research kind of the most common asks that we're getting from customers. So would love to see any in the chat if you can think of anything or have explored it on your own and looked at, integrating with other tools that support that. And you would like Documo to kind of handle that so you don't have to have, 3 or 4 applications do one thing. Let us know. That's exactly what we're exploring at this time. In addition, continuing enhancements, so polishing of UI, polishing of API endpoints. Right now, we have a good amount of endpoints exposed. So everything you saw in Lorenzo's demonstration, for the most part, is exposed in our API. But there may be some things where you're like, we really wish we could get, this specific piece of data through the API. So we're working with a lot of our pilot folks to hear out what their requests are. We have a large amount of integrators right now that are piloting this with us to help us learn kind of what are the first off enhancements that they're asking for. And then lastly, the thing that we're working on right now is expanding our permissions and team structure within Documo. So you may be familiar with how we have like departments or sub-accounts or specific users. We're really trying to expand a little bit more granular functionality for specific users. we're running into a lot of requests with our customers where they may have one specific user that needs to do only one task within our platform. And so really trying to make a little bit more of a robust offering there, so that everybody kind of has their keys to the castle of what users can do within our platform versus us dictating what users can do. And then for planning, as we look into 2026, we have got our eye on transmission channels. So when we say transmission channels, we mean a document going from point A to point B. What transmissions can we start to intertwine into our workspace offering? So we are a fax provider. We've got the fax side handled, but what else is there? I know there were a lot of pull requests for emails, or maybe you use a different messaging platform. How do we start to inject that rich data or documents into our workspace tool so that we can get more information passed down the line, either to the EHR or through endpoints? We're also exploring more data points to extract. So what information do we need to continue to work on our extraction tool for? So right now we have some pretty standard patient identifying information, first name, last name, date of birth, phone number, patient MRN, things like that help us understand, okay, we've got the right patient. But what can we do for provider information? What can we do for signature detection or approvals? Potentially clinical data if we get down the line. So being able to work out some custom extraction needs and kind of follow down those use cases is something that we've heard a lot of noise around with our customers saying, hey, we got specific things we want to extract. How do we make this work? And then lastly, we're sort of just working on additional enhancements to classification, workspaces, document editing. When we think about processing a document, oftentimes there are things that need to be done before it actually gets put to the patient's chart. One thing we found to be pretty common and annoying use case is maybe the sender has put together one or two patient's documents together and put it in one transmission. So now when you're working with that fax, it's a single document. What customers are saying is, hey, these need to be two separate documents. They belong to two separate patients. With our split detection, we can determine, hey, our AI is saying there's two patients we've extracted. This is likely two documents. Would you like us to split this for you? And kind of start to introduce some of that AI-based prompting and tools to human in the loop, so that folks can just kind of speed up their processing and utilize some of these things that we've had built into the platform. And then in addition, just like I said, editing documents, classification enhancements, just offering more tools for you to take classification into your own hands. And then as far as EHR enhancements, I kind of touched on that. We're still exploring a lot of new EHRs we can jump into. This is just a taste of our IDP focused roadmap. At the end of the day, we are a fax, platform. We are a document processing platform. We have a signature tool. We have a lot of things we support. So I don't want you to think those things are not getting attention. But this is just where our forward thinking is going as we're trying to help create efficiencies in the really pains that fax has provided now. So we understand we are guilty in that processing. We are the fax transmission channel. We're trying to make improvements so that we can give those efficiencies to our customers. That's all I've got for what's next, Phil. I know we're going to open up for another Q&A session. I don't know if there's been anything that's come through the chat that's worth bringing up to the group. But if you've got anything, feel free to take over the Q&A section.
Yeah, a couple questions came in that we answered one-on-one in chat, but I think they're worth bringing up. First of all, the question keeps coming back of are we recording the session? Yes, we're recording the session, and an email will go out to all the participants with a copy of the recording. So if you want to share that with anyone in your organization or any of your own customers, then that'll be available sometime after the webinar. The next question I think is worth talking about that Lorenzo answered directly to the person who asked it was the inevitable question around pricing. So something to help people understand is that once we start moving into the world of intelligent document processing, we're not going to be pricing based on page anymore, which is so we'll always be pricing fax the way that we price fax. But when we think about document processing, the standard is documents. And so what we're looking at and what your sales team would be talking to you about is either what your existing inbound document count is or what your anticipated inbound document count is. And then the next phase that we have to look at and discuss with you is what are you looking to do to these documents? Is it do some integrators we've talked to just need classifications, some just need patient identifiers, some need everything. So we have pricing tools. Obviously, volume, the more volume, the more of a discounted rate you can get, but we base our pricing on a per document level. So I really encourage you to reach out to, um, if you're working with Documo now, to reach out to your account managers. If you are new to Documo, definitely reach out to us through our sales channel, through our website, and we'll be able to have those conversations with you around how we can help you process those documents. Um,
We've got two questions that came in, Phil. One is, when could we expect split detection to be ready?
That's a good question. It's kind of in our investigation stage right now, so we're trying to understand more of how big of a problem this is to our customers, and that's one of the vital parts of this pilot right now. As Mackenzie mentioned, I mentioned earlier, we have almost a dozen customers who are large volume all the way down to small volume customers, both API integrators as well as portal-based customers that are in this pilot. And we're going to be learning a lot from the document volumes that they're processing. And so that's when we're going to start prioritizing something, anything that's in the list that Mackenzie just referred to. So I can't give you a date of when it's going to be coming, but I can say the noisier our customers are about it, the more we're going to put it forward in the more we're going to pull it closer in the roadmap. So I wish I had an exact date for you. I've learned as a head of product not to quote exact dates anyway, even though people try to wring them out of me. But that's the answer to that question around split detection. Um, is Azure Blob Containers a source for workspace documents? I wish I knew what an Azure Blob Container was.
It's like it's like AWS storage, Phil.
Oh,
But I think if I'm assuming correctly, the question is more so based around can you get documents in a blob storage container into workspaces as a document source? As of today, very similar to the answers that Phil had kind of already given, it's not something that we have built in. But again, as we're continuing to assess things throughout the product discovery and the pilot phase with our current customers now, if it's something we find that people need, if we have customers that are asking about it, it's totally something we'll look into. That kind of goes with anything, right? So, um, yeah, not currently something that we've scoped, but definitely something we're happy to explore in the future.
Yeah,
absolutely.
in today's state, we offer cloud storage uploading. So if you have a cloud storage with Google, Dropbox, I believe OneDrive, our own storage, and then just Box. We do support those, as well as file URLs and just direct uploads, which you can use the API to upload directly into a workspace. But as we look into more channels, I think that's exactly what we're looking for is, are there further, cloud storage solutions or even just direct syncs that we want to create as that transmission channel of how do we get faxes into a workspace? How do we open up the ability for you to process, what you have in a larger state? So
And I think the same question around AWS S3 applies someone just asked about AWS S3 storage. So same idea. We are in the process now of assessing sort of these inbound integrations, much like we talked about direct secure messaging, which we know is a very common messaging system used out there in healthcare. We want to learn more about AWS S3. So anything you can share would help us out around that.
yeah, we do work with AWS S3 in hosting files, but we haven't looked at it as far as requesting getting those documents from an S3 bucket. So um, great request. Love to see these. Gets us excited.
Yeah. So it looks like the questions are kind of petering out in the chat. So if nobody has anything else, I mean, I think the last step here is to thank everyone. We know we went over. We said it was going to be a 45-minute webinar. We always say we're going to go till the end of the hour, just leave that window open. But thank you all for your engagement, for your good questions. And this isn't the end of the conversation. If there's anything that you need, you can always reach out to your account managers. You can reach out to us through our sales channels. Um, We are entertaining conversations with customers and potential customers for our intelligent document processing, functionality on a daily basis. Mackenzie, myself, Ben Turner, who's our other product manager, we're in conversations regularly all day long. Love to get your feedback on it. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great
Thank you,
day.
guys.